lies in your understanding and perception. Lesson: everyone has their own way of valuing success and happiness. Respect each person's choice and make your own life valuable in your own way. Only you can decide the worth of your life. #### Story 2. There were 2 grains of rice chosen to be seeds for the next crop. Both were plump, firm, and of high quality. One day, the owner planned to sow them in a nearby field. The first grain thought to itself, "Why should I go out into the field? I don't want my body to be crushed into the soil. I'd rather keep all my nutrients intact and find a perfect place to hide." So, it rolled into a corner of the barn and stayed there. The second grain, on the other hand, eagerly awaited the moment to be sown into the ground, thrilled to start a new life. As time passed, the first grain withered and dried up in the barn corner because it received no water or sunlight. Its nutrients became useless, and it gradually wasted away. In contrast, the second grain, although crushed into the soil, sprouted into a golden rice plant, heavy with seeds, bringing forth new grains to the world. Lesson: never confine yourself to a safe shell to maintain a meaningless completeness. Be brave enough to step forward, endure hardships, and contribute to life. Deuil de la ban dik tiang en qua don tip theo. Toi de beau kak dao doi john nu yu ka. #### Story 3. A frog living in the field said to a frog living by the roadside, "It's too dangerous here. Move over to my place." The roadside frog replied, "I'm used to it, and besides, I feel too lazy to move." A few days later, the field frog visited the roadside frog and discovered that it had been run over and flattened by a passing vehicle. Lesson: your destiny is in your hands. You will only survive if you keep moving forward. Time waits for no one, and your path in life is yours to choose. Live in a way that is neither regretful nor wasteful. #### Story 4. During the summer, an ant wandered around the field collecting wheat and barley grains to store as food for the winter. A grasshopper saw this and mocked the ant for working so hard while other animals were resting and enjoying the festivals. The ant remained silent and continued its work. When winter came, heavy rains poured down, and the grasshopper couldn't find any food. Starving and desperate, it went to the ant, asking to borrow some food. The ant replied, "Sister Grasshopper, if you had worked instead of mocking me before, you wouldn't be starving now." Lesson: life is never always smooth and easy. Your work might be stable today, but tomorrow is uncertain. Your health may be fine now, but it could fail later. Always plan ahead and be prepared for risks to ensure a stable and secure life. #### Story 5. One day, a group of frogs was wandering through the forest when 2 of them fell into a deep pit. The remaining frogs gathered around the edge, trying to pull them out. But when they saw how deep the pit was, they told the trapped frogs that there was no hope, and they might as well give up and accept death. Ignoring the discouraging words, the 2 trapped frogs tried their best to jump out. The other frogs kept shouting that it was useless. Eventually, one of the trapped frogs gave in to despair, stopped trying, and died. The remaining frog continued to jump with all its strength, despite the others insisting it was pointless. Miraculously, it eventually managed to leap out. Surprised, the group asked, "Didn't you hear us telling you to give up?" It turned out that the frog was hard of hearing and had misunderstood their shouts as encouragement. Live wisely, listen to these 50 stories before sleeping to change your life. Dear friends, life is full of countless stories, long stories, short stories, happy stories, and sad stories. Among them, there are stories that carry valuable lessons and life philosophies to help you live better, more wisely, and more meaningfully. Let's take a moment to listen and reflect on the following short stories. #### Story 1. A student once asked his teacher, "Master, what is the value of life?" The teacher handed him a stone and said, "Take this stone to the market, but do not sell it. Just observe how much people are willing to pay." Following his teacher's instructions, the student took the stone to the market. People were puzzled as to why he was selling such an ugly stone. After a whole day, a street vendor, out of sympathy, offered to buy the stone for 1 coin. The student brought the stone back and lamented, "This ugly stone is worthless," but luckily, someone offered 1 coin for it. The teacher smiled and said, "Very good. Tomorrow, take it to a jewelry shop and see how much the owner would pay. Remember, even if he wants to buy it, do not sell." The next day, the student was amazed when the jeweler offered 500 coins for the stone. He excitedly asked his teacher, "Why is that?" The teacher replied, "Tomorrow, take it to an antique shop and ask the price, but again, do not sell it." Following his teacher's advice, the student took the stone to the antique shop. After a thorough examination, the shop owner offered his entire fortune to buy it. The student was overwhelmed and rushed back to his teacher. The teacher calmly said, "The stone is actually a rare and valuable ancient gem worth a fortune." Similarly, the value of life is like that stone. Some understand it, and some do not. For those who cannot see its worth, life is worthless. For those who understand it, life is priceless. The stone remains the same, life does not change. The only difference L. Lesson: never let anyone's negative words make you give up on your efforts. Sometimes, success is just a little bit further, and you only need a little more determination to achieve it. Story 6. One afternoon, a fox was wandering through the forest when it spotted a bunch of grapes hanging high from a branch. Drooling with hunger, the fox thought, "These grapes will surely quench my thirst." Taking a few steps back, the fox leapt up, but only managed to touch the leaves, not the grapes. Frustrated, it tried again, and again, using every trick it could think of, but the grapes remained out of reach. Finally, the fox gave up, lifted its nose, and said, "Anyway, those grapes are probably sour." Then it walked away. Lesson: it's easy to dismiss what you cannot have. Some people belittle things they cannot obtain as a way to cope with their own limitations, convincing themselves that they didn't really want it in the first place. Story 7. A new teacher at school noticed that one boy in the class was constantly mocked as being stupid. During recess, the teacher asked a group of students why they teased him. "He really is stupid, sir," one of them replied. "If you give him a big 5-cent coin and a smaller 10-cent coin, he'll always pick the 5-cent one because it's bigger." To demonstrate, one of the students offered the boy both coins, and as expected, the boy chose the larger 5-cent coin. Surprised, the teacher asked him privately, "Why do you choose the 5-cent coin instead of the 10-cent one? You know the smaller coin is worth more, right?" The boy smiled and replied, "If I pick the 10-cent coin, they'll stop giving me money. But this way, I get a coin every day." Lesson: at first glance, the boy might seem naive, but in reality, he is quite clever. Sometimes, people who appear foolish are just acting that way to gain an advantage. Don't underestimate others based on surface impressions. Story 8. A woodcutter and a scholar were traveling together on a small boat across a river. The scholar, proud of his vast knowledge, proposed a word-guessing game to pass the time. To make it interesting, he offered to pay the woodcutter 10 coins if he lost, but if the woodcutter lost, he would only have to pay 5 coins, just to show his intellectual superiority. The woodcutter went first and asked, "What weighs 1,000 pounds in the river but only 10 pounds on land?" The scholar thought hard but couldn't come up with an answer, so he handed the woodcutter 10 coins and asked for the answer. The woodcutter calmly replied, "I don't know either." Then he handed 5 coins back to the scholar and said, "Sorry, but I just earned 5 coins." The scholar was stunned. Lesson: sometimes, simplicity and practicality can outsmart even the most learned minds. Don't underestimate the wisdom of ordinary people. Dui de la ban dike tiang en qua don tip theo, #### story 9. Many people tend to show off their intelligence and look down on those with less education or lower status. However, excessive arrogance and overconfidence often lead to awkward and embarrassing situations. They fail to realize that being too clever can actually be a disadvantage. Sometimes, intelligence can backfire. Therefore, don't fear smart people, fear foolish people who think they are smart. Be humble and worthy of respect. The short story about the woodcutter teaches us an important lesson about humility. Story 10, The Burnt Toast. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I remember that my mother occasionally made burnt toast. One evening, she came home after a long day at work and prepared dinner for my father and me. She placed a few slices of toast on the table, burnt, not just slightly charred, but as black as coal. I sat quietly, waiting to see if anyone would notice or comment on the unusual toast. But my father simply ate his piece and asked me about my school day as usual. I can't recall what I told him that night, but I remember hearing my mother apologize for burning the toast. I will never forget my father's response, "Honey, I love burnt toast." Later that night, as I was getting ready for bed, I went to say goodnight to my dad and asked him if he really liked burnt toast. He put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Your mom worked very hard today and was really tired. A piece of burnt toast doesn't hurt anyone, son. But do you know what really hurts people? Harsh and critical words." He continued, "Life is full of imperfect things and imperfect people. I'm not good at many things, like remembering birthdays or anniversaries. What I've learned over the years is to accept other people's flaws and choose to support their differences. That's the key to maintaining a healthy, mature, and lasting relationship. Life is too short to wake up with regrets and resentment. Love those who treat you well, and have compassion for those who don't." Lesson: in life, it's essential to learn how to empathize with the weaknesses and limitations of others. Showing compassion to family members, friends, and spouses helps create harmony and nurture happiness. The short story of the burnt toast is a lesson in empathy between human beings. Story 11, The King and the Shoes. In a prosperous kingdom, one day the king went on a journey to explore the beautiful landscape. Upon returning to the palace, he complained that his feet hurt terribly. This was the first time the king had endured such a long journey, and the road he traveled was rugged and rocky. In response, the king ordered that all the roads throughout the kingdom be covered with leather. This would require thousands of cowhides and an enormous amount of money. One day, the wife of one of the king's servants bravely asked, "Why spend so much money unnecessarily? Why not just use a small piece of leather to cover your feet?" The king was surprised but eventually agreed to make a pair of shoes. Lesson: the short story above helps us understand that to have a better life and a happier place to live, it's better to change ourselves, our thoughts and our hearts, instead of trying to change the world. If you change yourself, the world around you will seem much better. Story 12, Gandhi's Lost Shoe. A train was speeding along the highway when Gandhi carelessly dropped a brand new shoe out the window. Everyone around him felt sorry for him. Unexpectedly, Gandhi immediately threw the second shoe out the window as well. This surprising act puzzled everyone, so Gandhi calmly explained, "No matter how expensive this shoe is, it's useless to me now. But if someone finds the pair, they might be able to wear it. Lesson: when facing irreversible loss or pain, it's better to let go early rather than cling to what's already gone. Story 13, The Girl and the Egg Seller. A young girl asked an old man selling eggs, "How much for one egg?" The old man replied, $1 for 2 eggs. The girl responded, "Give me 4 eggs for $1, or I won't buy any." The old man hesitated but eventually agreed, saying, "Okay, take them. It's a good start since I may not sell anything else today." The girl proudly walked away, feeling triumphant for getting a bargain. Later, she went to a fancy restaurant with her friends, where they ordered whatever they wanted. The bill came to $420, and she gave the owner $500, telling him to keep the change. Lesson: this situation, though seemingly simple, reveals a sad truth. Many of us are generous to the wealthy but forget compassion toward the less fortunate. Story 14, The Monk and the Journey. A monk planned to embark on a long journey to continue his studies. The master asked, "When are you leaving?" The monk replied, "Next week, master. I've asked someone to weave a few pairs of grass sandals. Once I get them, I will set out." The master thought for a moment and said, "Let's do it differently. I will ask the devotees to donate some sandals for you." The next day, dozens of people brought sandals, filling an entire corner of the meditation room. Then someone brought an umbrella, saying, "Master, the monk might encounter heavy rain during his journey." By the evening, the room was filled with nearly 50 umbrellas of various kinds. The master walked in and asked, "Are the sandals and umbrellas enough?" The monk pointed to the pile, saying, "More than enough, master." The master replied, "Good. But remember, the weather may change unpredictably, and the road ahead is long. What if your sandals wear out and your umbrella is lost? Tomorrow, I will ask the devotees to gather boats for you as well, in case you encounter rivers." The monk pointed to the pile, saying, "More than enough, master." The master replied, "Good. But remember, the weather may change unpredictably, and the road ahead is long. What if your sandals wear out and your umbrella is lost? Tomorrow, I will ask the devotees to gather boats for you as well, in case you encounter rivers." At that moment, the monk understood the master's intention. He knelt down and said, "I will leave immediately and take nothing with me." Lesson: when embarking on any journey or challenge, the most important preparation is not external supplies but inner determination and a clear goal. Once your heart is set, the path will unfold beneath your feet. Take the first step with your heart full of resolve, and everything else will fall into place. Story 15, The Rich Father and His Son. One day, a wealthy father took his son on a trip to a rural village to show him how poor people could be. They spent a few days with a simple farming family. On the way back, the father asked, "Son, did you see how poor they are?" The boy replied, "Yes, Dad." "What did you learn from this trip?" the father asked. The son answered, "We have one dog, they have 4. We have a pool, they have rivers. We have lamps at night, they have stars. We buy food, they grow theirs. We have walls to protect us, they have friends. We have TVs, they spend time with family and relatives." The boy continued, "Thanks, Dad, for showing me how poor we are." The father was speechless. Lesson: wealth is not measured by how much money we have but by the love, compassion, and contentment we carry in our hearts. Sometimes, those we think are poor may actually be the richest in spirit and happiness. Story 16, The Butterfly and the Cocoon. a man found a butterfly starting to emerge from its cocoon. He sat down and watched as the butterfly struggled to force its body through a small hole. After a while, it seemed stuck and appeared to make no progress. Feeling sympathetic, the man decided to help. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily, but its body was swollen, and its wings were small and shriveled. The man continued to watch, expecting the wings to enlarge and support the butterfly in flight. However, that never happened. The butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with its swollen body and weak wings. It never flew. What the man didn't understand was that the struggle to emerge from the cocoon was essential for the butterfly's transformation. The effort forced fluid from the body into the wings, strengthening them for flight. Without the struggle, the butterfly could never fly. Lesson: challenges and hardships in life are essential for growth and transformation. Without overcoming obstacles, we may never fully develop the strength we need to soar. Story 17, A Pound of Butter. A farmer regularly sold butter to a baker. One day, the baker decided to weigh the butter to see if he was getting the correct amount. He found that the butter didn't weigh as much as it should and felt cheated. So he took the farmer to court. Story 19, The Farmer and the Gold Coins. One day, a farmer was carrying a load of vegetables along the road. When he came near a big rock blocking the path, he put down his load and tried to push the rock out of the way. After many efforts, he finally succeeded. As the farmer turned back, he noticed a wallet lying on the ground where the rock had been. The wallet contained many gold coins and a note from the king explaining that the gold was meant for the person who moved the rock off the road. Moral of the story: every obstacle we encounter gives us an opportunity to improve our circumstances. While lazy people complain, others create opportunities for themselves through kindness, generosity, and a willingness to get the job done. Story 20, A Box Full of Kisses. One day, a man grew very angry with his little daughter for wasting a beautiful roll of golden wrapping paper. The family was struggling financially, and he thought it was pointless for the child to use such expensive paper just to decorate a box to put under the Christmas tree. However, he was surprised when his daughter brought the gift to him on Christmas Day and said, "This is for you, Daddy." The man felt ashamed of his overreaction from a few days earlier but became furious again when he found the box empty. He yelled at her, "Don't you know that when you give someone a present, there should be something inside?" The little girl, with tears in her eyes, looked up at him and whispered, "Daddy, it's not empty. I blew kisses into the box. All of them are for you." The father was deeply moved, wrapped his arms around his little girl, and begged for her forgiveness. Story 21, A Box Full of Kisses, Part 2. Some time later, the little girl was tragically involved in an accident and passed away. The father kept the golden box by his bedside for many years. Whenever he felt despair, he would take out the kisses from the box and remember the gentle love his daughter had given him. Moral of the story: love is the most precious gift in the world. Story 22, The Best Friend. Two friends were walking through the desert. During their journey, they had an argument, and one friend slapped the other on the face. The one who got slapped felt hurt but didn't say anything. Instead, he wrote in the sand, "Today, my best friend slapped me in the face." They continued walking until they found an oasis, where they decided to bathe. The friend who had been slapped accidentally got stuck in the mud and almost drowned, but his friend saved him. After recovering, he carved into a stone, "Today, my best friend saved my life." The friend who had slapped and then saved him asked, "Why did you write in the sand when I hurt you, but now you carve this into stone?" The other friend replied, "When someone hurts us, we should write it down in the sand, where the winds of forgiveness can erase it." But when someone does something good for us, we must engrave it in stone, where no wind can ever erase it. Moral of the story: forgiveness and gratitude give life its true meaning. Always keep an open heart in every situation, and you will discover the genuine kindness of others.